Okay, guys.
Okay, thank you, Krista. I appreciate it. Do a sound check here. Jack, can you hear us okay? Okay, Nisha?
Yes.
Okay, Jerry
Yes.
and Krista, I know I've heard you, right? Marilyn,
Marilyn's not here, but she can hear you perfect.
okay.
I will try.
Julie?
Do you see my picture now?
I do see your picture. Yep, you're there. I saw your hands waving around.
Let me go try to find her and see what's
Okay.
going on.
Come back. Julie, I see you adjusting your camera.
Trying to. I have a
I hear
different
you too.
computer,
Okay.
so
All right, and then Ruth.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna change my screen so I can actually see everybody. Okay, there we go. Chris, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
I think we're good. As soon as Marilyn gets here, we'll be set to go. Chad, I wish I could have your background. My system doesn't allow it. That's neat.
It's
Mine
fun.
doesn't either.
Yeah,
the computer I'm using now, my personal computer, won't let me do it either. I can download it if I have the image, but I don't have the school logo on this computer.
I've downloaded a couple of images, see if I can work it, but it doesn't. I kind of look like I'm morphing into something. It's kind of a weird setting. So
Yeah.
hopefully Marilyn will be here shortly.
I told her we needed that distancing. I told her she couldn't come over tonight. I felt bad. My nurse daughter is frantic.
I bet. Well, they say the peak in Ohio's April 8th, so 2 days away.
Wait a minute,
One
April
model
8th?
that I
I thought
saw
it was the
anyway.
25th.
Hmm?
I thought it was the 25th.
You know, the latest model that came out, they moved everything around. The model I'm looking at is the one out of Washington, and it was like April 19th, and it went over the weekend. It went to April 8th. So I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Now we just have to wear masks. I feel like I'm in China.
So is Marilyn there, Rick?
If she was, she'd be in the middle of this picture instead of me.
Okay.
So I will leave and.
You know what? I bet she thinks it's 6:30, guys.
My guess is, I thought she said something about 6:30, but
Yeah,
I tried
bet
calling
she's
her.
6:30.
If you got her cell phone, I'd call her cell phone because I tried that, but I get Amber's email or Amber's.
Okay.
email.
Siri,
Yeah.
call Marilyn.
Well, you know what? We'll go ahead and get started. And then
Okay.
as she joins, Jerry will let you know, and you can add that to the minutes.
Well,
All right.
Given we're-
well, I'll stay out of the picture and let you guys do your thing, and I will, when she comes in, I will direct her to the
Call
picture.
Marilyn.
Okay. It's a public meeting, so you're welcome to listen in. Chris, go ahead and mute yourself.
I may try to find her is what I'm going to try and do. So,
Okay.
all right,
Thank you.
talk to you later.
Thanks, Rick. Hey, Chris, can you mute yourself?
Can I mute
Okay.
myself?
Just mute yourself while you're talking to Marilyn. Then come back on. Okay. My agenda here. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties we've had, but hopefully we work through those. At this time, I would like to call a special board meeting for Matterville Local Board of Education for April 6, 2020. At this time, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I will take the screen here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just so our are you all looking at the individual pictures now? I'm not sure what you're seeing on your end, so. Okay. All right, looking at that, Mr. Ellender, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Denning? Mrs. Denning?
Yes, Denning. My dogs were
Ms.
barking. I had you on mute.
Sorry.
By the way,
Mrs.
Jerry, I'll just say, if he's calling roll, no need to give your last name because he's calling you out specifically. But if you do a motion or you're making a statement, just let us know who you are. Go ahead, Jerry.
Mrs. Newhouse?
Yes.
Ms. Pickle?
Yes,
Mr. Steiner? Mr. Huddle?
Yes. Okay, seeing no. Sorry, guys, technical difficulty here. Sorry, hit a button. Seeing no other visitors on our screen, I'm going to go ahead and go to the superintendent's report. Looking for an update, Chad, on the teacher communication with our students and just kind of get an idea how that's flowing. And we're going to give the board members an opportunity to ask some questions as it relates to that.
Kristen and I have actually had a flurry of emails today from the high school, just in regards to their communications and that. A lot of people are using Zoom. It's been a good tool. Use Remind. The high school staff is using email a lot. That tends to be the best communication tool that they've had so far, even to the point where my daughters are like, emails like daily from my teachers, and I'm working on my packets. So I know that the seniors at risk, Mrs. Simpson, the counselors, the teachers have targeted those students to make sure that they're prompting them along to do their packets, even again to the extent where a student emailed Mrs. Simpson back and said, I received 5 emails today from my teachers that I need to get this done. It's important. So we've heard a lot of good positives about communications. I haven't heard anything negative from parents or any questions that they've had. As far as emails, most of the emails I've received so far have really just been, preschool enrollment. How's it going to work with the packet redistribution and all that, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But otherwise, the communications have been very effective.
Good.
Krista, I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to that, because I know that you've worked with Tina quite a bit on some of this stuff as well in the elementary principals.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, just what you said, Chad, we had it's probably now been over a week ago. I know K through 4 had some Zoom calls, just teachers sharing ideas of what they're doing, how they're communicating with their kids. And it was overwhelming to hear how much teachers are doing. It's just, I don't know, the elementary teachers, I know for sure. And then I know 5-6 building has had some check-ins. They've been meeting with coaches still using Zoom, having team meetings, couple hours at a time. And they've communicated the same, reaching out, doing some Zoom calls, reaching out, calling families to check in if they haven't really heard back from anybody. And the same thing at the high school. They're not always getting in touch with somebody, but they're definitely making that attempt. So it's pretty cool.
I would say the most frustrating thing for some of the staff members is that they have reached out. Krista alluded to this. They've reached out to the students multiple times and the students haven't responded. So they've been getting a little creative with that. For example, there's a high school teacher today that I read that said, I'm sharing pictures of my cats to draw the kids in. Them so that way they respond to my emails and that. So they are trying to be creative to make sure that the students are receiving the emails and they're interacting with them as much as they can. I'm sorry, Chris, you had a question?
my question is, I was told this weekend, because I was talking to someone about us using Zoom for our board meetings, and then I'm getting ready to do some Zoom with some teachers also for my presentations, believe it or not. But someone said, be careful, because they're having terrible hacking issues with Zoom. The security is not good on Zoom, they said. So I don't know, just to give you guys, and this is a tech guy who told me that, so.
Yeah, our tech guys emailed the staff several times last week. Dustin started out by sending some information out, and then Eric did a follow-up that kind of explained it in more details. And a lot of it's just making sure that you have like a meeting code that goes along with it. Or for example, BASA, for my BASA meetings, they have like a meeting password now that they use for everything. So a lot of it's just adding that extra layer of security.
Okay.
And
So the code gives it a security?
What'd you say,
sorry.
Chris?
I said, so a code gives you the security?
Well, nobody's going to know your password.
So Chris, what that does, there's something, they call them Zoom boomers, where people, if you're having an open public meeting, they will come in and disrupt your meeting. There's ways to quell them, but in the meantime, they cause disruption with that. I've done several Zoom calls with OSBA and some with my church even, and we've not experienced anything like that. The one thing I will say is, I think Dustin sent out an update on make sure your system is updated. There was a patch that they put out for security purposes, and it came out. Was it Chad? Was that Thursday? Maybe Thursday of last week that he sent
It
that
was
out.
late last week, yeah.
Make sure your
saw-
system is set up for that code. You know, make sure your system's updated. It's supposed to prevent some of that. So.
And depending on if you have the free Zoom, I don't know if it's the same, but like the school account that we have that the coaches share and that I share, Jerry uses, only people that have your link can access your meeting. So that's why you guys have to find a link. You can't just search for a meeting. So that's another layer of protection. Can you guys hear me? It says my connection's unstable, but that's I haven't been using a password with our meeting because I'm only sending it out to the people that I want to click the link. And that's why we're going live with it so that anyone can see it at this time, but definitely it's more protected. So I would just watch that too, Chris, as you're doing your meetings. If you're creating a meeting, send the link out in the code only to the people that you want to join the meeting.
Okay.
It's when you're posting it for anybody that it starts to get a little troublesome.
Well, this is Marilyn, since other people are allowed to join in and watch the meeting, that make it less secure?
No, because where they're watching it right now is separate from our Zoom. We're just going live on YouTube. So they can't pop into our meeting right now. They can only watch it.
Okay.
Good to know. Thank you for their information.
Yeah, and then I sent you guys I forwarded you a couple of emails from different principals too, just to show some other examples of how they're communicating with staff and the expectations they have for the staff to communicate with their students. So I sent those out late last week as well.
I know Mark has met with his teachers and their group in general as a group. And of course, I wasn't allowed to join in. He was embarrassed, but the kids really seem to enjoy it. I think they're missing each other and that they're missing their teachers. And they've done this 2 or 3 times already. So they're staying pretty active.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been really proud of our staff. They've done an outstanding job overall, staying in touch with families. And I'm actually getting more and more volunteers for the food distribution as well, because I think they're getting the itch to like contribute more, and they feel like they aren't doing enough right now. So, but I'll get into that here in a minute too, once we finish up this part.
Yeah.
If you have a student, I realize the majority of the stuff or items is material they've already covered, but like in the area of math, if they are still struggling with it, what would you suggest that a student do?
I would make sure that they should have, so everything that the staff had sent out includes some platform of communication that they can be reached. So whether it's email or Remind, and I know a lot of the elementary teachers use Remind or they use Class Dojo. That's a great way to ask the teachers questions and get information back from the staff. So if he's having trouble in math, or if he has a friend or somebody's having trouble with math, typically the elementary teachers are using Remind to communicate back and forth with the students.
Okay, so basically contact the teacher.
Yep.
Yeah. yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And then if they can't get hold of
If
the
you have
teacher,
trouble, I'm sorry,
Go
if you
ahead.
have trouble with that, Marilyn, all you can do then is have the parent contact the building.
Uh-huh.
Either email the principal or, and the principal can get them in touch with the teacher if they don't have a way to communicate.
Okay, thank you. Julie, did you?
Yeah, the one thing I like that Miss Olson is starting this week, she started today because she actually gave her classes work for this week out of their math book to finish out the math book that was sent home. And she is starting that she has a set time every afternoon. She will be on Zoom and you are supposed to have worked on all your math earlier in the day. And then if you have any questions or you're struggling with anything, you can get on that Zoom call and she will help with any problems you're having in that. I thought that was a really excellent idea. I must say, with having to work with Connor on this every day, the one teacher that is the most consistent in his group is Miss Olson. She is in contact with them at minimum once a day, if not more. Even all through spring break, she was sending them stuff and reminding them that they could get ahead if they wanted to, and they wanted to work on math because math was so fun. And because, you know, that's her big thing, math is just fun. But she has done a really awesome job. And I think she's kind of headed up doing their weekly team call as well, where all the kids can get on. They even did one last week during spring break. I haven't seen a whole lot from the other teachers. The first week, you know, science, social studies, they sent like things that, hey, if you want to, this would be fun to look at, you know, some extra things in that. But they always say this isn't required. Well, with a child that is struggles anyways, and struggles to focus, struggles with work in general, when you say it's optional,
Right.
it is a struggle for a parent or caregiver to get them to still do that. You know, so I'm anxious to get the next packet for him, but I just wanted a shout out to Miss Olson because I think she's really doing it the way it was intended to be done. And she's
Just
doing
a couple things about that, Julie. I need to clarify, just to maybe knock out some confusion there might be. So I think what she's doing is amazing, like saying these are set times. I think it's a great suggestion for all teachers. Get on at this time if you have any questions. However, assigning extra stuff, it sounds like you said something about she's assigning the rest of the book or something like that. Really, no teacher is supposed to assign per se extra stuff. So hearing you say required actually does ease my mind a little bit, because or not required, because we really can't require anything beyond the packets right now because there is that lack of support.
This is the packet that was given out originally, and there's still work in it. So instead of them having this week with no work because waiting until next week to pick up the new packets, she's having them finish out this packet.
Yes.
Currently
Yeah,
have.
that was. Oh, go ahead,
They
Chris.
contacted me about that because I think they originally miscalculated the number of pages that they were sending home. And so they decided to rearrange some things. So originally we weren't going to send home anything for 7th or 8th grade math, but they had kind of miscalculated their pages. So that's probably why she was adjusting that. But I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear that if you are hearing anything about assigning extra, that is all it is, extra. I'm going to encourage some web lessons. They're called Knowledge on the Go. We're going to put some of those on our webpage that are actual teachers giving lessons in reading and math and science. That would be an extra piece, but would be amazing for kids. And I understand there's going to be some kids that aren't going to do extra, but at least it's an option to families. And at the very minimum, if they're doing their packet, they're getting review.
Marquez's teachers, she has sent home optional
Yes.
additional work, but it's very clear that it is optional, you know, whether they want to do it or not. And I think on the items, it seems like the kids that are maybe move through their work a little bit faster than others. I think they're picking up with the extra work.
Yeah.
And it gives them something else to do. So it is good. I mean, that little extra stuff.
Good.
Something that we've really not touched on, from this point on, will there be any report cards or progress reports or anything in that nature?
We'll get to that once we get to letter B.
There's-
We
Oh,
talk
okay.
about the packet redistribution and then what grading is going to look like and some of those things.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So just in general, are you guys hearing back from, what are you hearing back from parents? Anything negative, anything that needs to be addressed here tonight that we need to look into, or anything positive you're hearing? I've had nothing but positive comments from parents that have stopped by the house that have, if I'm out walking, they'll say things seem to be going well. I had one parent that said, the first thing her son does is get up and gets his homework done before she's up and ready. He's got his, the majority of his work done because he knows that nothing else takes place in his house until he has that done. So he's diligent about getting it done. So I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, it's been good. I've only heard good things also.
Yeah.
I think when they first brought it home, I think they were a little overwhelmed just because of the volume
Mhm.
of what was sent home. But then I don't think they realized this for how long of a period of time it gets broke down and how much time they have to do it. So I've heard positive. I mean, they're okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think both the staff and the students are certainly missing each other. And Jenny put together a really nice video today. If you guys haven't had a chance to see it, it's on our Facebook page. And just message from the staff, encouragement, support, just so they care and love our families. And it was a really, I don't know, it was great. It was a great 6-minute clip. She did a wonderful job with that.
Krista, back to what you were saying.
Yes.
So now you have me a little confused because I know that originally Miss Olson sent out information that the page numbers were off when she first sent it out. And because the first text message I thought was very clear. Then when she followed up with a second text message, it was by page number, and it didn't follow what she said in the first message that you would complete 2 pages front and back each day. And so the kid, or at least let's say my kid, but apparently other kids did too after I had to verify with her what she meant. I understood it to be basically, should they be doing 4 sides? But when she said two pages front and back, they thought it meant 1 page front and back, meaning 2 pages. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so she clarified all of that, and we got through all of that. Okay, so the first 2 weeks, it was 2 pages front and back, so 4 sheets every day, got it all done. But then she did assign a whole week worth of math for this week, because there was enough pages left in that book so that they can, so her thing was, this way I can collect it all next week and then you'll get your new book. So
I think that's just probably something I'll have to be addressed on an individual level. I think, wouldn't you say, Krista?
Yeah, I be honest with you, Julie, I'm a little confused on it too, because like I said, the workbook originally that went home was supposed to last what we thought was going to be through these next 3 weeks as well. And so I had received an email from the math department, and they were asking to go ahead and get some additional packets made. I got that email last week. And so I said back, I thought that the booklet was going to take us through that next. And they said that they had miscalculated. So why don't I reach out to that teaching team and ask them to clarify this with their students so that everybody's on the same page? Because we really weren't counting. I'm sorry.
I'm fine with it that he's doing math every day. I don't have a problem with having work to do this week. That's not the reason for my question. I was actually commending her for going ahead and finding stuff for them to do. But then you brought up that they weren't supposed to have, I didn't think this was extra work. I just assumed it was stuff they already had scheduled for them to do. that if it went further and they were just able to do that, since they already had this book, they could finish it out. Because there is a portion like page 49 to 50 something or something like that. I have to look it up, that they're not going to do because it's stuff apparently they haven't done.
Okay.
So I don't mean
Well,
to call, I'm not trying to call, because I think what she's doing is amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because, I had to get into it with Connor's mom because his sister doesn't have any homework for this week and he does. But anyways, that's my problem. But I was really complimenting Miss Olson. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to say that.
no, I didn't take
got
it as
it wrong.
negative. I'll follow up with that team and see if I can get some clarity. But no, I'm not looking at it as a negative. I don't think that there's any ill intent in anything they're doing. In fact, the opposite. So I'll follow up with that team.
Okay.
And I appreciate just the suggestion of the class meetup on Zoom. I mean, if that's something that's working out, then we can pass that along to the other teaching staff members, having a dedicated time daily. I thought that was a great idea. So
Yeah, I think the first 2 weeks that would have been really good. And I know this is a learning curve. And I'm not saying anything else, but now today he had no problem with the math problems he had to do, and he got them all right after we checked them. But there were some days before that, honestly, he says this is the way you do it, and Mike says this is how you do it, and we're getting two different answers, and we don't know which one is right. So,
Chad, perhaps we set it up as just like we did a study table, where a teacher says, I'm going to be available from this time to this time for anybody that has questions. Because, I knew when I was in school, hey, I might have a question that somebody else might have had too. And if we're both on the call at the same time, it kind of takes care of it that way. I'm not sure exactly how they're working these Zoom meetings out, but sounds like it might be an opportunity for them to just be available for that.
I like that.
So anything else on teacher communication? Thanks for the overview. I think it gives us a good idea of where things are at, and I think it just validates for us that things seem to be working pretty well. So thank you, Krista and Chad. Let's see, continuing student education. Chad, I'm going to assume that's you, or is that Krista?
We'll tag team on this. So I'll get the overview of where we were, where we are, and where we're going. And then I'll let Krista get into some of the details she's been working on with the elementary principals and the other building principals on the third kind of phase of this. If we go into May, I think it's a pretty cool plan to end the school year with. So I can tell you from my meetings, I have weekly meetings with my peers in Montgomery County, and we are 100% ahead of them as far as educating our students. And I'm really proud of that. There's some districts that just deployed e-learning last week, and up to that point, they weren't doing anything. You'll notice later on, we'll talk about our policy and the revision to our policy that we're going to talk about distance learning and adding that language in the event of emergency or school closure due to an emergency. And I think we've been really proactive, and I commend you guys as board members, because you guys have been a part of this too, and you've had that conversation with us, and we've been in this together to do what's best for our community. So I appreciate that, because that continuing education piece for a whole 9 weeks of school is very important. So, as you guys know, last week on Monday, the governor says, hey, we're going to continue this till the end of April, and we'll be back. May the 4th be with you. So we'll see about that. Leading up to that time, and I think this is part of maybe the confusion, Julie, that you encountered with Mrs. Olson, not to beat a dead horse, but we did put a 15-day packet together, which would have taken us to April 6th, where we were going to be back at school, hopefully. So we actually had more in that packet that went home to extend beyond that week in the event that we had to come up with the second round of packets. So that's probably why there was some extended work or whatever, but I know dealing with that, because a lot of teachers said, well, I just need you to get to like page 23. Don't worry about up to page 27. That was in case we were off for another 5 days. So we have a pretty massive collection and redistribution plan. That will be taking place April 13th, the week of the 13th, over multiple days. If you guys had a chance to look at that, I sent some emails out and some communications about that plan. I know that there are some families that either aren't comfortable or may have been in a situation where they've been in contact with somebody with COVID-19. And if that's the case, Krista and I worked on getting everything online today. It's on our website. So every single packet is available on our website as of today that our parents can go to and access electronically in case they can't make it next week for whatever that reason is. Now, we're encouraging them to come and pick up the packets because that way we hand it off to them. It's a natural handoff. We can encourage them. We are going to run that similar to how we do the food distribution. So they have to remain in their car. It's a bucket that they'll toss their current packet in, and then there'll be a handoff with a staff member with gloves on with a new packet to the family. So that's how we'll work that out. So we put together another packet that will cover weeks 4, 5, and 6, and that takes us up to May. And then in May, we talked to the principals because typically what happens in May, and I know a lot of you guys know this, is we finish up testing because testing consumes April. You know, we're continuing education through April. And then in May, we're going to really focus on reading, and then we're a project that will align with what we did with Find the Kind, our hashtag, and the outcome of our civility summit. So Julie, you were a part of that with me. And we thought that'd be a great way to end the year, is to focus on those quick 2-minute things that they can do daily, and they can either journal them, put a PowerPoint together. Krista has a whole list of ideas that they could do. So they'll be required to read daily, and then they'll also be required to participate in Find the Kind, Mad River, going along with the MRLF Strong, and you know what we're going through right now, and those kind of random acts or purposeful acts of kindness, and then put together some, like, their version of a documentary of how they immerse themselves in that project family. So we wanted to do something that was really meaningful for the community to end the school year, but continue with that literacy piece and make sure that our students are reading and journaling. So that would be phase 3 if we go into May, because the reality is in May we had basically 2 weeks of school, then our kids are graduating, and we're doing all the end of the year's activities that third week anyway. So we really had 2 weeks of school, like academic weeks left before we got into all the awards and everything else that happens that third week of May. So I haven't had too many parents that were concerned about picking up the packets. I had a couple, and you know, we didn't completely disclose everything, and we won't do that till next week after the distribution, as far as having that stuff available, except for individual conversations, because we did spend about $6,000 on running these packets, and we want to make sure that we can hand those off to the kids and have them have the opportunity to have that paper pencil experience and not worry about them not being able to download that or get that from the website and print that off. So that's where we are with continuing the education and going back to the communications and everything else. I mean, our staff has communicated, and you're probably sick of getting emails from me because I keep emailing you pretty much every single day, but I want to make sure everybody's up to date on everything. And you know, Nisha, Krista, Jerry, they've all done a great job of that too, depending on the projects or the parts of this that they're working on. So, you know, it's been a pretty involved process, but I feel like we're doing the best thing for our kids right now. And I can tell you for a fact that we're doing much better than the other districts in Montgomery County, and I'm proud of that. Krista, do you want to talk a little bit about the grading and any more details on that third phase if we get into the project?
Yeah, I'll pull up the documents. I'll start with the project, and the project, let's see here. If I can find it, maybe I'll start with the grading expectations. So wanted to just give you guys an idea of can you guys see that?
You can.
Yeah.
So if you just want to glance over this, I emailed it out to you this afternoon, so you'll be able to read it a little bit deeper, but ultimately this is our, you know, kind of our belief moving forward with our grading expectations. So I'll give you a second to glance over this, and then you can let me know if you have some questions.
Krista, the one question I do have is, as we're looking at, and I don't know where this falls in what we're discussing, but College Credit Plus, how is that being impacted today? This is our grading, but looking at what Sinclair would say, do they deviate much from what we're showing here for what they're doing at Sinclair with that program?
Yeah, this is
It's probably two
actually,
different animals.
this is actually for what we're, this is K-8 is
Right.
what we're talking here. High
Okay.
school, it has been, we're handling it a little bit differently. I think, Chad, I don't know if you had a copy of what Tina had shared or not on the invite, but we can get, I can send that to you guys later, Chad, or I can. I saw I think they're still trying to make some decisions, Scott, on what they're going to do, but I'm hearing a lot of just chitter chatter. Today we saw something from how AP is going to handle their AP exams.
Okay.
They're trying to work through that. That was just something new that came out today. So College Credit Plus, I don't want to, Chad, have you heard anything on this?
Just know that from talking to Liz from Sinclair, Cinchetti, that it does fall under Sinclair's grading scale, but I know that they're working through that right now to
Okay.
get some flexibility. I know like our government College Credit Plus class, the ones that extend over a school year. So sometimes in some of our College Credit Plus classes, we have semester classes that we extend for an entire school year.
Mhm.
We compact to a semester depending on the class. So like Scott Patient's government class, they're already done with everything for College Credit Plus. So we're finished by the end of the third quarter, which is good because they met all the criteria that they needed to as far as the credit grading and that. The classes that were more semester based, I know that they're working with Sinclair right now on those things. And I do know that there are some projects that have to be completed, especially in English. It was 1201 and 1202 as English Comp 1 and 2 through Sinclair, that the final projects are on there for in order for them to finish up that class. And I just posted that on the website today. So you can look at that if you want. That's on our website, and I can send you guys the link. But I know Sinclair's working through that to make sure that they're being fair to students and working through this whole process. I don't know if they're going to extend that at all, or if it's just going to come to an end when it's supposed to naturally come to an end.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot too, just about, the kids are still engaging, those that can are still engaging with their teachers, even their College Credit Plus teachers virtually. And so one of the things that I'm hearing a lot, not necessarily with College Credit Plus, is just the whole idea of, this grade maintenance thing that I have here in this, maintaining their previous grade. It's just maintaining. They could improve, but it's not going to be something that they're going to be penalized for. A lot of that kind of talk going on across the state, and I don't know, in other states actually too. So I don't think we have full information yet, but I know that everybody's kind of talking through those pieces, Scott.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I heard Sinclair, they were still trying to work it out.
More
So,
help. Good.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. I think I cut you off.
That's okay. I just wanted, would this not be more helpful to have Chromebooks though? Because I know some schools are having Chromebooks. Would this paper and spending 6,000 and all that good stuff?
No,
Would
and I'll
it
tell
not
you
be
why,
better
because
to have
the districts that have that distributed Chromebooks, like Northridge did that for this, I think they did it this past week or whatever. But then all they're doing is they're putting hotspots at buildings. So like they have families literally coming with a Chromebook, sitting in the parking lot of a school, trying to do their schoolwork. And then you're dealing with Chromebooks that go home.
maybe not come back?
And well, there's some of that. So I don't know if they're leasing them or what they're doing right now. But a lot of these guys, they get these Chromebooks out, but they don't even have platforms that they're engaging the kids in educationally at all. Like even Oakwood, when I heard the superintendent talk, he's like, it's the school year's done. We're not really worried about it. They're all, online and they have some lessons, but we're not even worried about it. And I'm thinking, so what, this 9 weeks isn't important to your kids? Like learning's no longer important because we're at home now? I mean,
No, but if you listen to the parents, they think that they, in Oakwood, because my boss is a Oakwood parent, and it's just like, oh, Oakwood had it together. We had it together long before anyone else did. Of course you did.
No.
Okay.
we were the
That's
most
interesting to
proactive
know
district in Montgomery
That's
County.
interesting to know that.
Yeah. There's a lot of districts still doing the paper pencil. The biggest hesitation with the districts doing paper pencil was getting the packets back, and they're worried about COVID on that packet. And I reassured our staff that it
Right.
on cardboard for 24 hours. We'll keep them for a week before we even give them out to you. You guys don't have anything to worry about.
In Allied Health, I was just wondering this the other day. In Allied Health, had the year went normal, we were going to have a pinning ceremony for the excuse me, the kids that had passed the SDNA. Yeah, did they get everything in so that they're still going to get pinned?
I don't know. I know that there were several groups that finished everything. And there was one group that finished like right at the last minute before we were completely closed. I'm not sure if I think there were 3 groups that finished and there might've been a 4th group that didn't, but I'm not 100% sure. We might've got everybody all the way through. I'd have to ask Jesse about that.
Would they be allowed to, will they allow them to finish since everything's been disrupted?
Well, so the last group we had actually went in the week after we were closed. The nursing home let them go back in and finish that week up because they were already there. And that's it. So they were done after that week or whatever, but they let them go back in and we were able to finish that group up. I'm not 100% sure we have another group that was supposed to go through. I'll have to ask Jesse about that.
There was that group that was going to do the work when school's out, the seniors.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
summer
that group, we don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah. What will be
It's
allowed.
just the thing of, they have to log, is it paperwork type work or is it them trying to get their hours in at the nursing home?
They have
Their hours.
and then there's they have to take a test.
Yeah, I was just hoping that they didn't put all that time and effort in and got down close to the end and then did not, get a chance to finish it.
Yeah, I know the last group that was going through finished. So there wasn't a new group that was like starting that didn't go anywhere. So,
Okay.
Chad, I was going to ask this question in the class of 2020, but I'm thinking this is probably goes across all classes. If we're talking awards, the typical award ceremonies that we do, what will that look like? Are we just got that on hold right now? Or do we have any, what's the contingency on awards being given? Is that even a thought, or they get mailed to them, or has there been any discussion on that? I know that's down the road. It's not something that's priority, but
so we hope we're going to be back in May.
Yep.
Probably won't. For the seniors, you guys have I know you saw quite a few communications about the seniors.
Right.
We do have a contingency plan for senior awards and graduation. The senior awards on the 23rd of June, and then graduation. We booked the Nutter Center.
Yeah, for the 24th of June.
I hated doing that because that conflicts with something that I have going on. But on the flip side, it was the only day we could get, and there was no way if we had an opportunity to get our kids to walk down the aisle at the Nutter Center, that's what we do. And I did not want to take that away from them. So we made sure that we booked that date on the 24th.
Well, that's the seniors, but what about the other classes when they're class rewards? Will we just give them to them next year when they come back and have an award?
I'd have to ask the principals. We haven't even had a conversation about
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it's, like I said, it's down the list of things to wonder about, but I'm sure there will be a parent or two asking if we've had any discussion. That's enough for me. We'll get that where we're getting it to when we get to it, but
yeah, I'll make that a topic at our next principal Zoom call.
I mean, yeah, you could almost do it the next year, couldn't you? If you take care of the seniors, everybody else could really be early next year, I suppose, but I don't know.
Yeah, we can figure it out. I mean, the biggies is like, the 7-8 building, they do their honor night,
Right.
academic achievement night, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. So it'll be the 8th graders. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 5-6 building, I mean, they just kind of do typical awards at the end of the year and that, and they're nice. I mean, it's perfect attendance and honor, those type of things. And elementary is more, the PE award and perfect attendance and those type of things. So,
Right.
yeah, but I'll talk to the principals about that at our next meeting.
Okay. Guys, any more questions on continuing ed?
Yeah, I have one because I printed this sheet that Krista sent out on the grading expectations. So Krista, I was wondering, I'd read the one already that the high school had sent out about grading and that, and they were going to do basically if there's 70 questions and they do all 70, they get a point for everyone that's done, regardless, right, wrong, that sort of thing. But in here it says for the K through 8, it says a little confused on when it says grade maintenance. I understand you don't want to penalize anybody because they may or may not have that assistance at home, but potentially improve their scores. How are you going to determine that? How are you going to get that so that if a child works hard and they complete all the packets and they're doing things, maybe they had a bad quarter, third quarter, but this here, they've been able to do a little bit better, but you say maintain. I guess I'm a little confused on what that means.
So what you said is exactly what it means. You maintain unless the teacher is making that judgment call, just as they would anytime they're grading. It's no different. Anytime you are taking grades, you are pretty much determining whether or not a child has mastered something, but this is practice. So what you're looking back at is, did this child practice and make some improvements? If so, should they maintain or should they improve? And it all has to come down to what that teacher believes based on knowing their kids. There can't be especially going across K through 8, it can't be we can't look at it the same way that the high school is. And I think the high school is also going to determine, because Tina and I have had some conversation about, let's see how many packets we even get back. And then once we get those packets back, then let's make some determinations, because there's going to be a chance that not very many come back. We don't know. We have to see. So it really comes down to analyzing those packets and determining, since they are practice and it's not new material, then has that child shown improvement? Have they maintained? And it's kind of making a judgment call, just as you would any time that you're grading.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I can tell you that the curriculum directors have met through the ESC talking about grading. So I know Krista's been a part of that, and that's pretty similar to what most other districts are doing. They're either kind of issuing whatever they got at the end of the third quarter and that's it, or they're doing more of a maintenance K through 8 pass fail type situation. And then at the high school, doing something, well, I would say ours is a little bit more robust than what other people are experiencing, which is.
Yeah. And we wanted to
I
stay
thought
away.
when I read the high school that it was realistic based on the fact that they may or may not have the support. And I like I said, you just sent this out today, so I'm just glancing over it. And I kind of assume that particularly Mad River Middle would be similar to the high school, since you hear a lot of, we're preparing to go to the high school, preparing to go to the high school, preparing to go to the high school. I mean, elementary, I totally get. I mean, that's the way it's set up. I'll talk to you one-on-one about that. It's probably more of a personal opinion than an overall. So
I don't know if anybody was able to attend the OSBA meeting that they had last Friday, that it's kind of a brainstorming session, and what Chad and Krista just mentioned is kind of what the other districts are doing too, what you put out there. You talked about Middletown on this one, Krista, the information you provided, the information from the Middletown board member, but everything that I've heard, and we even had we had 3 superintendents from the Central Ohio area on the call that was really designed for Southwest Ohio. Pretty much straightforward. What Chad's saying is kind of how they're doing the evaluation of grades too. So sounds like we're right on target with that.
And we were just really trying to avoid, especially K-8, I mean, even into high school, it being just a straight pass fail. Because failure shouldn't be an option during times like this.
Right.
So it's tough to have procedures in place. And so a lot of the districts that I'm hearing, originally they were starting off talking just about pass fail. And we even mentioned that at one point in time, but then some articles have come out. We've received some guidance from a couple of different educational specialists that we work with. And this seemed like, the best route to go, especially for our K-8, and even trickling into the high school as well, a little bit of those same concepts.
Thanks, Krista. Anyone else on this topic? We'll move on to food distribution. Chad, I just got a real quick question. Are you still taking volunteers?
If you're interested, we're distributing tomorrow, so.
No, I had 2 people ask me and I said, I think they need volunteers, but I'll find out. So I'll have them get a hold of you.
The high school does the most just because for traffic control, we need a couple extra bodies to either help out with that or help allow somebody else to do that. So Adam Sikora contacted me today and I said, well, tomorrow would be perfect for you to come in because just that traffic controls is a little bit more involved at the high school than at Matter Middle and that Crystal experience at Spinning. But yeah, take them.
I was planning on coming tomorrow. Which building do you want me to go to?
Probably Stebbins.
Okay.
That'd be the best.
Have they already been packaged and everything?
Well, there's a couple things tomorrow that need to be packed. Otherwise, everything's ready to go. We have a pretty good system in place. So usually what we have to do the day before or the day of is, so if we ran out of carrots or we ran out of like bananas or whatever, and we have to throw another banana in a bag on a cart of maybe 50 breakfast and lunches that we have to put together. But otherwise, I mean, the process is pretty efficient now.
Yeah, I know. I've been at Stebbins the last 2 times and you could tell it just went smoother the second time because everybody knew what they were doing. And it went smoother because we'd done it before and we knew what was going on. So, okay, I'll get to Stebbins then.
Yeah. So we packed today. We have 3 different sites now. So we're going to distribute 250 breakfast and lunches packages at Stebbins, 250 packages at Matter Middle, and 200 at Spinning. And then Tom and I talked about it today. So we bumped it up by 100. So we're serving 700 students instead of 600. And then we'll evaluate tomorrow, see if we need to bump it up by another 100, if that's the case. So we're trying to reach both sides, both ends of the community. We try to do a central hub at first just to see how it would flow, but that's why we included Spinning this time. So we have about 52 volunteers now. We have some newbies, so we put them with our veterans. And I don't want to speak for Krista, but the packing today at Matter Middle was fantastic. We had it done in less than 2 hours, and we're ready for tomorrow. So I'm excited. Our families seem to be receiving this really well. I've only had a couple emails or messages from families that weren't able to make it. And I don't want to tell them myself, Marilyn, but I went down and raided your room and I put a package together for them. So
Oh, that's fine.
that way I could, make sure that they were getting fed.
Yeah. If you get any more, Chad, if you get any in between the feedings, if you get the names of anybody, the Lions, we can take, we're not meeting obviously right now, but the Lions can still step in and take care of it. Did you do that?
Yeah, you have a nice stockpile of non-perishables down there that are easy to get out. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, just let Rick Taylor know. or no, you can call me and we'll make sure they get food if they've run out.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be a part of, if you haven't, just because, I mean, it's just a different sense of community, and just watching our families come through that are just so appreciative that, you know, we're doing that for them, and making sure that we're giving their children proper nutrition in this time of need, because there are a lot of families that for the first time in their lives, they've experienced job loss and unemployment, and kind of in between all that, they have no idea what to do. They've not experienced that before, and that's a challenge. I feel like we're doing a really good job meeting their needs, and we're going to continue evaluating. We have this scheduled, so we have a distribution tomorrow, only because we didn't do anything over spring break, but we distributed right before spring break, so they would have food, and then we're doing a 7-day tomorrow, and then we'll come back Thursday and Friday following week. And then we'll do it every Thursday and Friday after that up through May 1st.
Yeah, the one good thing about it, well, there's two good things about if the Lions do it is, one, we take it to them, we deliver it to their house. And secondly, we have the capability of putting perishable items in there like meat, eggs, milk, you know, the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is what is something that we are not capable of doing through the schools, but just, you know, if you get those phone calls, just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Chad, did we go through all 700? Have we maxed out every week that we've done it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've maxed out and given away whatever else we have left.
Yeah.
Make sure we can feed our families. So
Good.
yeah, we're usually under by, it seemed to be around like 50 each time. So we just bumped it up and padded it and rounded up to 100, and we're going to go from there and kind of see where we are at the end of the day tomorrow.
Okay.
The last time when we gave food out, I was at Stebbins. Of course, we were scheduled to give it out from 10 to 12. I got there at 8 o'clock and there was already people waiting. And I had a hard time getting to the back because of the cars were already sitting there. But yes, they are very appreciative, and you can tell that the need is there.
Yeah.
And it definitely is people, we're feeding people that we've never had to feed before. So it's different this time.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Ruth, any comments, Ruth?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to updates on the seniors in the class of 2020. Chad, right?
I alluded to this a little bit. So we have a plan and we have a backup plan. I'm glad our backup plan is at the end of June, just because I think that will give us the time. I had emailed you guys. I apologize that we had paid for a vacation, not expecting this. And the end of June was, that just happened to be the date that the Nutter Center was available, and it was the only day that they could give us. And like I said, I was not going to, put our students in a situation where they wouldn't have the experience that their other peers have had or the other classes prior to them. It's pretty special walking down the aisle at the Nutter Center. So I'll make sure, I'm going to videotape a message and have them play it on the Jumbotron there, and make sure that's available for them during that time. But yeah, so as of right now, if we come back in May, we'll have the senior breakfast and awards. Clap out will be May 19th. That's when it was scheduled. I think you guys probably have an Outlook invite for that. And then they'll have graduation practice on the 20th. After graduation practice on the 20th, if we're back in May, then they'll go to their elementary buildings that they went to. And we did the clap outs there, which was really fun last year. That was something new that we added in for graduation. And I can tell you the principals, the staff, and the kids were just so excited to go back home to their buildings that they started their career in Mad River in. And then we'll have graduation on the 21st. So that's the best case scenario. And then the worst case scenario is, we'll do it on the 24th at the Nutter Center, and we'll still be able to give them a great experience. And I know Tina's encouraged families to buy your cap and gown. We're going to do a graduation no matter what. We're going to give you graduation. Even if it's in July, we're going to do it. We're going to give you a graduation. So she's encouraged that. And she's actually bought some extras to have on hand in case families just couldn't afford it or whatever at this time. And we'll make it work for them. So that way we can make sure they have a cap and gown. We're only doing one color this year too, which makes it easier. And we're doing it alphabetically, which only makes sense. I know it looks beautiful when we have the scarlet and gray and it's boy girl lined up, but in the back it's always like all the other girls because there's more girls than boys, and it's going to do one color, and we're going to do it in alphabetical order, so that way there's no mix up when you're reading names or anything. It should flow really.
Marilyn?
Cindy Summers has retired, that's why.
Yeah, we did that. We've done that forever. I mean, as long as I've been in Mad River, we've done graduation like that. So
Because Cindy Summers been in charge. Retired.
So
Do
what
we
color
have a
gap are we
guest
doing?
speaker? I'm sorry, Scott. I'm sorry. Do we have a guest speaker?
no guest speaker this year, and the gowns are red.
Oh, red. okay.
Right.
Or scarlet.
So, you know, that update you gave that Tina gave, I should say Tina gave it to you and you gave it to us. That was excellent stuff. Something that I heard, and I'm trying to think of the school, I think it was Hilliard or Licking Heights over in Columbus. They're actually going to have a prom for their students in the summertime if everybody comes back. But they're saying they're trading, what was it? They're going to trade their high heels for flip flops, and they're actually going to do it on the football field. So I thought that's kind of cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We do have a backup for prom in May too. I can't remember the exact date. I'd have to go back in my ream of paper here. That's my coronavirus.
Holding it at the gym, if I'm not mistaken, right?
We were going to do, let's see, prom. If we can get it in, we'll try to do like around May 15th was what we were looking at. So we did have a contingency plan for the Mandalay May 15th. We still have that date booked with them. So for May, we can actually do it at the Mandalay. Yeah, after that, we'll just have to talk and see if it's something feasible. If it is, then we'll certainly do it.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me nervous about prom in the summer is like,
How do you control them?
we have no authority over what they do. They show up,
That's the tough
they
part.
hopefully would make great choices and have a great time, but
You never know.
there's always a possibility. But I guess that's Riverside's problem at that point, and we call them and have them respond if it's needed. I just hate to have that happen.
It's a good point.
So that's where we are with seniors. Do you guys have any other questions about the seniors at all?
Team, any questions? I see no. Ruth?
I'm good.
I see. Chris is shaking her head. Marilyn, Julie?
Yeah,
anything?
fine.
Okay. All right, I think that's everything. Hey, Chad, if we can, I don't know how, I realize a lot of kids won't be around, but man, it would be great if for some reason we're not able to pull a prom off for these kids. It would be awesome if we could have the mother of all homecomings specifically focused on that class next year if we could. If something doesn't happen for them, that would be ideal. But
Yeah, that would be
for some
fun.
reason, yeah, I don't know what that means, but you're right. We'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Scott, have you heard anything from the inside about the governor, about where they think if we're coming back or not?
No, he's been kind of, I don't want to say radio silent, but he has publicly said there's a chance that the schools may not open up at all coming back, you know, and I think it really comes down to when's the peak. Now, the good news is I follow a modeling site that's out of Washington University, and Friday they had our peak in Ohio, and you can go and you can do the whole United States, or you can do it by state, and it tells you all kinds of, you know, how many beds you have, how many you'll need, all kinds of, you know, detailed information, and they tell you when the peak is going to be. And the peak as of Friday was April 18th. Well, so that's the peak for Ohio. And ironically, Kentucky was a whole month later on their peak. I don't know what that's about, but they put in all their information, put it in the model, and they update it daily, which is really good. Well, over the weekend, they didn't update it, but I went in and checked it today, and it was updated through April 5th. Now the peak is 2 days from now. So April 8th, Ohio, according to this model, will be at their peak. And if you look at all the numbers they were showing, the hospitalizations and the number of people affected and the number of deaths and everything to that, it's right on mark with what that's projecting. So let's hope we're turning the corner on April 8th and we're not doing it 2 weeks later. And, maybe we will be back sooner. I don't think anybody really knows right now.
I still think that he wants to keep everyone careful. That's why they keep stressing that fact,
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe, who knows? I can't obviously speak for him because I haven't heard anything, but it makes you wonder if he didn't throw that out there because that's ultimately his goal. If you listen to a lot of what he says, he'll give clues as to what he's going to do from time to time. He'll talk about if people aren't, doing the right thing, then we'll have to close down the bars and restaurants. Well, what happened over the weekend? People went to bars and restaurants and he closed it all down on Monday. So, that's kind of how things work with that. But he hasn't said anything that he's closing anything, Maryland, at least not officially. But, he has said that's a possibility. And to Chris's point, we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
Right, yeah.
But
Nisha, what are we doing about hiring?
Well, fortunately, this year we have a very small number to hire.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about hiring people that we have on 1-year contracts, hiring people that have 17 and a half hours that we hire, that kind of thing, we will continue to go through that process with them, talk with them, and then they'll be on the board agenda. But when we have interviews for any position, we're going to do it either through like Zoom call or Skype or something like that. We've done that in the past when we haven't been able to, like if somebody's out of town or somebody's in a different state and we want to interview them, we've brought the group together and then done the interviews that way.
Okay.
So I think that would be what we would continue to do.
Nisha, has Bowling Green had theirs yet?
Everybody is doing theirs online. So
Right.
anything that we have is just online. And so if the individual principals who were going to go to those places wanted to go on to interview some people, we could. Right now, it's with the number of people we need, it's really not necessary. But yes, and Bowling Green did have theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 3 Falcon alumni on this Zoom call.
What's that?
What'd you say?
Exactly.
So we have 3 Falcon alumni on this Zoom.
That seems to be the hotbed of where you go to. So that's why I was asking about that.
Yeah, right.
Well, I noticed we lost a couple bus drivers in the last couple months. How are we doing on bus drivers?
Well, we're always, as low as it looks for us, like we think we don't have enough, we're always in the process of training people. And we have a couple that were being trained, but of course can't right now. So we just try to keep up with that as much we can, constantly having somebody training, letting them know that even that they may not get a full-time position or they definitely won't get full-time, but part-time for quite a while. But some people are still interested and want to train. So we do have a couple that
Good.
we are training.
Good. Okay.
Chad, do you want to take a second? And I won't put you on the spot here because I know we didn't talk about this, but or we can talk about the next regular board meeting. I know that the state has kind of given some options for OTES. There's really a couple of options for that. Do you want to speak to that now, or do you want to wait till the next
I
meeting?
can. I talked to MREA about this and OEA.
Mhm.
I sent some like a draft MOU to Nisha, Jerry, Krista, MREA to kind of look at. So right now the board can decide whether it's not practical for us to be able to finish evaluations this year, which on the certified part, that's going to be really, really pretty difficult. I know, like for me, for example, I have all my administrators already done. I know most of the classified staff are already done, but we have 280 certified teachers that haven't had, they may have had the second evaluation, but they're not going to have like maybe a second walkthrough, or they're not going to meet all the criteria for OTES this year. So I know we're, in talking to Eric Bostic, the president, the only reservation that they have right now and I didn't get this out of House Bill 197. He did. When he read the language, his impression and OEA's impression is that if they're not evaluated this year, everybody goes back to a full cycle for 2021. And I'm not 100% positive that's accurate or not, because that's impractical. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be an impossible task for us to be able to accomplish. The only time we ever did that was the very first time we did OTES, and myself, Krista, everybody and their brother was helping evaluate because we were so extended.
Right.
I can't imagine that. People are still trying to work through what that means in House Bill 197, because I don't think it was clear. And I don't know, maybe you saw something different than that, Scott.
I heard that it would just delay it a year. You wouldn't go back and restart the whole cycle, but my understanding that I got from it, it would just be delayed a year. You know, you would.
My
do it at the
impression
same
would be,
time.
yeah, my impression, whatever cycle you're on this year would carry over to next year.
Correct.
But we're not going to have value added next year. We're not going to have any of that stuff.
Right.
We're not testing this year. So
Right.
what would kick you into a full cycle or allow you to be on a one cycle, it's not even a tool that we're using that would allow for that to happen. So I don't think they're interpreting it right, but I don't know. I mean, my interpretation was different. Mine was, if we decide to, allow for staff not to complete evaluations this year, whether through a board resolution or MOU, then we would just stay on the same cycles for the following school year, because it's not affecting anybody's employment or anything else. There was no certified staff member in a situation where they were on a 3-cycle working towards a non-renewal this year. So that's kind of where we are with evals. Just waiting for more clarification. We have some time. So as things come out, because they come out daily, as you guys know, we'll continue to work through that and try to get some clarification on that.
Chad, are you contacting BASA for that, or do we need to get OSBA's interpretation? Or
I'm on a BASA call this Thursday, so I'm going to ask the question.
okay. All right. Anything else, folks?
Yeah, I have one thing I wanted to bring up to everybody. It's kind of more community related. But did I unmute? Yeah, I unmute myself.
You're unmuted.
Sorry, the dogs keep their
You're
squirrels
good.
out back, and Lord help us. So JC's normally would have their 40th annual Easter egg hunt this Saturday. And we've had to cancel everything, of course, like everybody else. But thanks to Ruth sending a picture of something that happened in another community, we've already, just from last night getting that picture and this morning, we have permission from the city, permission from Overlook, and probably gonna have a police escort, the whole 9 yards. And we are going to have an Easter Bunny parade through the entire community. We will start at 9 a.m. And right now, with the way the schedule looks, we won't be done until like 3:30 in the afternoon. We have it scheduled out already for 20 to 30 minutes, and every plat just driving around, and the Easter Bunny will wave. Everybody stays in their own yards, and the kids at least get to see the Easter Bunny.
There you go.
So when you see that on Facebook, because I think I'm friends with at least the board members on Facebook, please, 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 please share it, because we'd like for as many kids to have that experience. Because I've gotten, literally over the last 4 days, I have probably filtered through the JC Facebook page 25 messages on, is there any way the Easter Bunny can just come and wave in the window to my child? We're so used to doing your Easter egg hunt. Well, each window is not possible. So when Ruth sent this picture of some friends of hers, it made perfect sense. And the little boys were standing on the sidewalk, and the Easter Bunny was in the car driving down the street. And Mark Carpenter's on board. He loves it. We're probably going to add a little bit to it. We have a ton of candy that we had already had ready for the Easter egg hunt, probably about $200, $300 worth of candy. So we are going to bag that up in little Ziplocs and throw a plastic egg in and throw them out from the car for the kids that are standing out. And we're going to have hopefully a few other cars, if anybody's interested, have them decorate their cars for Easter, and we'll just have a mini parade going through the entire community. I mean, my list literally We start at 9 a.m. on the Platts off of Linden Avenue. That's Dayton Schools, but Riverside Community. And then we go to the Richland area off of Eastman, Wagon Wheel, St. Helens area, Penn area. I mean, it's a really tight schedule for us to get completely through the community, but we're going to do the best we can and try to some sort of sunshine and that with Easter weekend and not being able to do with their normal activities and even be with family. I know my family, we're all going to have dinner at the same time and we're all going to Zoom in so that we technically are having dinner together still. So,
That's on Saturday? Saturday morning?
yes, Saturday will be the Easter Bunny Parade.
Okay.
Do you have a flyer or anything for that, or?
I am working on that. Like I said, we just got permission and I finally got through to Overlook because with Overlook being private property. Now we have chose not to go inside the apartment complexes because we're worried that people can't keep the 6 foot distance by coming down out of the apartments. So we're just a little worried that we wouldn't be able to do that. And we don't want to put anyone in jeopardy. So we're not going to go like into Yorktown. We're not going to go into any of the apartment complexes except for Overlook because they have their own front yards there. But we are going to hit, like I said, I don't know if you can kind of see my makeshift list here. And it goes to the back because Overlook will be last because we feel that it will take more than 20 minutes or a half hour to get through Overlook. But we're literally going to hit every single plat. We're hoping we haven't missed anybody, but we're going to give it a shot and see how it goes. I mean, this would have been our 40th Easter egg hunt. So I'm really thankful to Ruth for passing on the idea. So we took it for granted.
If you need any suggestions, Scott and I drove around Riverside for hours. BG Parade and the Brandwood Parade, we have a whole different route that we would run.
Yeah, we don't want to put down street by street.
Yeah.
What time we think we'll be there because we don't want everybody lining up on one street. So we're just saying like we will be in the Seville Plat. We will be in the Valley Plat. We'll be in, the community drive and that type of area. So we're doing it by area because we don't want to take the chance of
missing a street. Yeah.
Yeah,
Say you're going to be on a street, then miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just, we want people to stay in their own yards, stay on their sidewalks, that sort of thing.
Right.
And if we don't think it's working with passing out the candy, then we'll stop doing that and just wave.
Yeah.
But we have all this candy that is, going to get stale if we don't try to do something with it. So I have a whole thing set up, and now that I don't have a job after tomorrow, I have all week to get it ready. So it'll be.
We'll look for that, and I'll certainly put it out on my Facebook page and get it out there on remember to click public so everybody gets it.
Oh yeah, always. But yeah, and I'll have that all done. I just have to get the schedule. We want to go through and look at a map, make sure we hit every plat the best we can.
Yep.
Do you have a
it'll be
map?
interesting to see how it goes. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you have a map?
No, I was going to have to ask the
I have
city
one.
folks.
I know a teacher that does with all the arrows going the right way. Chad and I know all about that.
Yeah, if you have one, that would be great. That would help so we can try to, because I'd like to map out the actual route. I just don't want to make that necessarily public.
You want me to scan it and send it to you? Is that the easiest?
Sure. That's fine if you can.
Yep, I'll do that tomorrow.
Thank you. So that's all I have. I just wanted to share, and I wanted to thank Ruth publicly for giving us the idea.
It'd be nice if we had a vehicle in the parade from the school district. Everybody got quiet.
Yeah, we're going to probably have a city vehicle because we're probably going to use one of their trucks.
Chad, could we use the magnetic signs?
I have my magnets.
I almost called you, Chad, to see if you wanted to drive the bunny in the convertible because I couldn't find a convertible.
And if you want me to.
Well, if you're willing to give up a whole day, it is going to be a whole day. Because the bunny right now is going to have to stand in the back of a pickup truck because I can't find a convertible.
Oh, yeah.
Let me know.
Well, if anybody, if you give me a vehicle and if anybody else wants to do it with me on Saturday, I can do it. Just to sit and ride. And Chad, do you know we have those beads left over? Any beads left over from homecoming?
We do. I don't know how many beads we have left over, but we have some.
Okay.
Mary has a bead stash somewhere, so I have to find where the bead stash is.
Okay, well, I'll get with you tomorrow. And
Julie, I'll be glad to, I'm already scheduled to work with the patrol Saturday morning, but if that gets canceled, I'll certainly let you know. They've got me tapped for that already, so.
Yeah, let us know.
drive.
And I have to figure out where we're exactly going to meet.
Yeah.
Since we're trying to start on one end and then work our way back, through the
Yeah.
city. It's going to be interesting. All I can say is this is only on paper. So if you come and you want to be part of it, bear with us.
well, I mean, at least you're trying.
And that's what we wanted to do, was try and give some sort of normalcy
Yeah,
to the kids.
right.
And even the adults. I'm sure the adults will enjoy it too. It's just we're going to need help getting the word out. And that's the reason I wanted to bring it up, is we got to get the word out, so people know to expect it.
Right.
Lynn will get it out on multiple. She'll get it out to the, next door and Forest Ridge Association. She'll get it out to all those areas. So yeah.
Hopefully.
Just don't throw them around, Marilyn, your beads, because those kids are going to contact each other, and someone's going to take a picture and send it to DeWine, and you're going to be hearing about it on Monday. That's what people do. That's what they do, and they're sending pictures to him. That's why he's doing what he's doing. I know. I have wine with the wine every day.
You can put them in a plastic bag. I know you don't know how to tie them.
There will be an executive
I've tried
order.
to do it.
I'm telling you, they're going to run after him.
The governor's executive order on Monday. No more parades. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
My day will be done for Easter, so it's all good.
Okay. Anybody else? Administration, Nisha, Jerry, Krista, Chad, anything? Anything for us? How are things going administrative for you guys? Are you guys needing anything? Are you guys maintaining and doing okay with it?
Okay, in my office, we are alternating days that we go in, and my staff was in Friday, closed the month of March out, and they're trying to get caught up on bills. We had an interruption in our mail service, so we need to get mail coming back in so we can get the bills out of the mail and pay them. But payroll's been going along okay, so everybody's just kind of coming in. I spent the day in today, and my staff's coming back in tomorrow, so we're kind of alternating, so we don't have we're not in there at the same times. But so far we're able to keep things going.
Good.
Yep. So I have the days I'm packing and distributing food, I have Mary coming in, somebody in my office, but I'm there basically 10 to 2 every day.
Okay.
Taking preschool packets right now and distributing those. I handed out masks and gloves to Missy, Sandy, Mary, have for myself too, just because we're the first point of contact when people come into the building, so that way they have the necessary protection that they need.
Chad, speaking of that, one question I did have, are we making sure that our staff aren't making impromptu home visits to parents? Are we putting the word out not to do that, or are we letting them do that? Or
I don't know that they have. If they have, that's news to me, but
okay.
If you're hearing something, let me know.
Okay.
They
I
should
haven't
be
had
doing
that question. I have questions sometimes about what they should and shouldn't do for volunteering and for health issues and that kind of thing, but I've never heard that comment about visiting homes.
Okay.
I would doubt that anybody is.
I wouldn't think. Okay. If I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Right.
It came up, Chad, when we were on the parade. It made me think, what would, if the child said, hey, come see me or something, maybe not, a new teacher, not really thinking about the impact of something like that, but, doing it totally innocently. But obviously, I don't know that would be in the best interest of everybody, but I'm just glad you're not hearing that. but haven't heard anything. I'm just thinking that out loud. So, okay, good. Chris,
Stewie liked your voice and he came right up and was looking at the computer.
Hello.
I've seen 9 participants. We'll count him as 10. So, Nisha, Krista, anything?
Just
For us?
similar things, I think, to what Jerry was talking about, just
Okay.
trying to keep up with things by people going in different times.
Yeah.
And then we're able to do obviously a lot of things through conference calls and meetings that way to take care of any kind of issues that people are having, questions that they need answered.
Okay. I know there's a second reading we have here on the, or first reading, I should say, and I'm trying to pull it up now on my agenda. Chad, how would we do this? If we don't have the first reading with us, I guess we've never looked at that from an electronic standpoint.
Krista, can you pull that up from the Outlook invite?
I
Yep.
read mine, believe it or not.
Yeah, I have it highlighted so I can read it to you.
I
But
can
Well,
pull it up.
you
Just
sent
give me
it to
one
us.
second.
You've sent it to us, right? So,
yeah,
Yeah,
So
it's in
we're-
the board agenda.
yeah. So we really don't have to act on anything now other than just indicate, just as we would if we were in the board meeting, there's the agenda. We can look at the reading and then we will follow up on that one at the next board meeting. We can have our second reading and close it out.
and since Mary's going into the office a couple times a week, we'll make sure you guys get your board packets too, so you have a hard copy.
Okay.
April 27th meeting.
Okay.
But the big thing on that policy, if you guys remember, part of House Bill 197 talks about distance learning, and districts that don't have a policy for distance learning need to create that policy, which falls under 8210, which is the school calendar policy that we have. Now, that policy does refer to blizzard bags, which we've never used those in the past. And blizzard bags only allow you up to 3 additional days on top of the 5 calamity days. So, and then you have to start, well, if you exceed hours or whatever, but we stuck with 5. So what I wrote was, it looks like Krista's going to be able to share that.
Mhm.
I took some of the language from House Bill 197, and then I kind of blended that with information I got from BASA and thinking about what distance learning means to us right now. So the revision is just an additional paragraph you'll see, and it's highlighted in yellow. In the event that the state or federal government declares a state of emergency and orders the closure of schools for a given time period, the district will develop a contingency plan to deliver instruction to students at home. The plan supersedes current law that limits the amount of distance learning to no more than 3 days. So it addresses that blizzard bag piece,
Right.
which we're supposed to do.
Mhm.
And it talks about distance learning during mandated school closure due to emergency will be delivered through a variety of educational platforms, including but not limited to core content specific paper pencil educational packets, web-based educational applications, and district/vendor created electronic curriculum. So just trying to cover different modalities of learning, with that not limiting to us to those 3 things, but kind of specifying those 3 things.
Mhm.
So I knew this was going to happen. Basically, Neola, I get an email last week, or it might have been over the weekend, that they're not doing anything with this right now because they're not in the office and they're working from home. Well, that's fine for Neola. That's fine for Mad River, because we want to make sure that we have this policy in place and that there's no issues when we go back to school. I mean, our staff's working. We are doing distance learning, and I would say we're doing it with fidelity right now. And so I wanted to make sure we captured that in 8210, which is the school calendar policy. So this is just the first reading. We're not voting on this tonight, but if you guys have any questions about this, or if you have any suggestions to that policy, certainly let me know.
Okay, thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
Okay, gang, is there any other comments from anybody to share at this moment? Questions? If not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Denning.
Second, New,
Steiner,
Okay. Motion, Julie, second by Steiner. Mr. Ellender, would you please call the roll?
Denning,
Yes, Denning.
Mrs. Steiner,
yes, Steiner,
Mrs. Newhouse,
yes, Newhouse.
Ms. Pickle,
Yes.
Mr. Huddle.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
thanks.
you.